So apparently, I'm the bad guy for having a business plan. Whatever. I mean, I get it. People don't like seeing a woman think strategically, but honestly, best decision I ever made. Like, literally the best decision. You know what? If you're gonna judge me, just hit pause now because I'm not here to apologize for being smart. I saw an opportunity and I took it. That's what successful people do. Okay, so, background. I was married to David for like 12 years. 12 years of watching him stumble through running Anderson Solutions like he had no clue what he was doing. And he didn't, by the way. The man couldn't close a deal if his life depended on it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there watching him make terrible decisions, alienate clients, miss obvious opportunities. It was painful to watch. Julian, his business partner, used to come over for dinner sometimes and we'd talk about the company. Julian actually understood business strategy. You know, he had vision. David was just, I don't know, going through the motions, collecting a paycheck, no ambition. So Julian and I started talking more about business, about life, about how frustrating it was watching David waste the company's potential. And yeah, one thing led to another. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm perfect, but between us, David had checked out of our marriage years ago. He was more interested in his spreadsheets than his wife. The thing is, Julian and I realized we could actually save the company. Like, really turn it around. David was running it into the ground and someone needed to step in before he destroyed everything completely. We had a plan. Wait, I should back up. The affair thing, look, it wasn't supposed to happen, but David and I hadn't been intimate in months. He'd come home, eat dinner in silence, watch TV, go to bed. That's not a marriage, that's roommates. Julian actually listened to me. He saw me as a person, not just someone to cook his meals and do his laundry. Anyway, so Julian and I spent like 3 months putting together this whole strategy. We researched the legal aspects, talked to lawyers, figured out how to structure the ownership transfer. I mean, I basically did all the research because Julian was busy documenting how bad David was mismanaging everything. Did you know David was sabotaging deals? Like, actively making bad decisions that cost the company money? Julian had proof of everything. Client files that David had messed up, meetings where David said completely inappropriate things, financial decisions that made no sense. We had documentation. So here's what we planned. I'd file for divorce, which, let's be real, was inevitable anyway. As part of the settlement, I'd get David's share of the company. Then Julian and I would run it together, properly this time. We estimated the company was worth like $15 million if managed correctly. David was probably going to run it into bankruptcy within 2 years. I know how this sounds, I know. But David wasn't capable of running a business. He's not business-minded. He's more of a, I don't know, a middle management type. Someone who follows orders, not someone who makes strategic decisions. Julian and I were doing him a favor. Really, the plan was perfect. I got my family involved because I wanted witnesses. You know, legal protection. My parents, my sister Haley, my brother Finn. I hired actual lawyers from Morrison & Associates. Everything professional and above board. We scheduled it for a Friday afternoon. I figured David would come home around 5, we'd present him with the papers, he'd sign them, and we could all move forward. Clean and simple. Except David came home early, like 3 in the afternoon. I was sitting at our dining table with Julian and the lawyers going over the final paperwork when David just walked in. Perfect timing, actually. Our daughter Emma was there too. I mean, she lives there, obviously. She was upset, but kids get upset about change. She'll adjust. David looked confused when he saw everyone. "Waiting for me?" he said. "For what exactly?" I slid the papers across the table. "Sign these," I said. "You're giving me the company. Full ownership transfer. Julian and I will be running it together." And this is where David showed his true colors. Instead of just signing like a reasonable person, he started asking questions, making it complicated. The lawyers explained that if he didn't sign, it would become this long, expensive court battle that would drain the company's value. His daughter's college fund, everything. My dad even told him to just sign. "It's better this way, son." So finally, David signed. Every line. Just like that. I was relieved because, honestly, I thought he was going to make this way harder than it needed to be. But then David started smiling, which was weird because he'd just lost his company. And then Julian's phone rang. Julian answered and his face went completely white. Like, all the color just drained out. He was talking to someone about a sale. Some company called Meridian Industries. Turns out David had sold the company. That morning. For $10 million. I was like, that's impossible. I own the company now. I just signed the papers. But the lawyer said the papers were meaningless because you can't transfer ownership of something that doesn't exist anymore. David had sold it before our meeting. I mean, what kind of person does that? Sells their company without telling their wife, their business partner. It's like David knew we were trying to help him, and he just sabotaged everything out of spite. Julian was freaking out because apparently he'd been copying client files to his personal computer. For backup purposes, obviously. But David had been monitoring his access and reported it to some licensing board. Julian could lose his professional license over what was basically just due diligence. The whole thing was insane. David had this whole revenge plot planned out. He'd been watching us, documenting everything we did, setting us up. It's actually kind of scary how calculated he was about it. Long story short, the divorce went through anyway. I mean, the marriage was over, regardless. David kept the house, which whatever, I didn't want to live there anymore anyway. Too many memories. Julian and I tried to make it work for a while, but the stress of the licensing investigation and losing the company put a lot of pressure on our relationship. Plus, Julian had to move back to his hometown because nobody in our city would hire him after David's complaints to the licensing board. So yeah, we broke up. But honestly, I'm better off. I'm living in this cute studio apartment downtown, working at Nordstrom part-time while I figure out my next move. It's actually really freeing not having to deal with David's negativity all the time. The thing is, David thinks he won, but he really didn't. Like, yes, he got his money and his house and whatever, but he's still the same pathetic person he always was. Still no ambition, no vision for the future. He's working for Meridian now as some kind of consultant, which is basically just a fancy way of saying he's an employee again. After being his own boss, he went back to taking orders from other people. That tells you everything you need to know about his character. Meanwhile, I'm free. I can date whoever I want, live however I want, make my own decisions. I don't have to ask permission or compromise on everything. I have my own money from my job, my own space, my own life. Between us, I think David was always threatened by my intelligence. Like, I was the one with the business degree. I was the one who understood marketing and client relations. But because he was the founder of the company, he got all the credit. It probably killed him that Julian and I could see the company's potential in a way he never could. I see Emma twice a month now. Supervised visits, which is ridiculous, but whatever. She's adjusting fine. Kids are resilient. And honestly, it's probably better for her to see me as an independent woman rather than someone who stays in a dead marriage just for appearances. People keep asking if I regret anything. Like, do I wish I'd handled things differently? And the answer is no. Not really. I mean, obviously I wish David hadn't been so vindictive about everything. I wish Julian's career hadn't gotten destroyed over what was basically just a business disagreement. But my core decision to leave that marriage and pursue something better? No regrets. I'm actually thinking about going back to school. Maybe get my MBA, start my own consulting firm, show David what real business success looks like. I've got all this experience now from watching him make mistakes for 12 years. I know exactly what not to do. The funny thing is, David's family acts like I'm some kind of criminal. His sister won't even talk to me anymore. His mother blocked me on Facebook. It's like they can't accept that their precious David isn't the business genius they thought he was. But my family gets it. Well, mostly. Haley's been a little weird about everything, but she'll come around. She works at the hospital, so she understands workplace politics, how sometimes you have to make hard decisions for the greater good. Finn's actually doing really well now. Seeing how everything played out motivated him to get his life together. He's working construction, saving money. Sometimes it takes a wake-up call, you know? My parents were disappointed at first, but they're starting to see that I'm happier now. Like, genuinely happier. I'm not walking around on eggshells anymore, trying to manage David's moods and fragile ego. I ran into David at Target a few months ago. He was buying groceries for one, which honestly made me feel a little sad for him. He looked, I don't know, older? Tired? We didn't really talk, just said hi. But I could tell he was checking me out, seeing how I looked. I was having a good hair day, wearing this new dress I'd bought. I think he realized what he lost. The truth is, David was holding me back. I'm 36 years old, and I wasted 12 years trying to make that man happy. 12 years of my prime, supporting someone who didn't appreciate what he had. Now I get to focus on myself for the first time in over a decade. I'm dating again, which is amazing. Nothing serious yet, but it's nice to feel desired again. To have conversations with men who actually listen to what I'm saying, instead of just waiting for their turn to talk. You know what the best part is? I don't have to pretend anymore. I don't have to act like David's business decisions make sense, or laugh at his terrible jokes, or socialize with his pathetic friends. I can just be myself. So yeah, everyone thought I was crazy for leaving. Look at me now. I'm living my best life finally. I'm free, I'm independent, I'm pursuing my own goals instead of propping up someone else's mediocre dreams. David can keep his $10 million and his empty house and his consulting job where he takes orders from people smarter than him. I'll take my freedom any day. This is what winning looks like, by the way. Maybe it doesn't look like what people expect, but I got exactly what I wanted. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I mean, I'm happy. I'm really happy. I don't know why everyone keeps asking.